I'm 32 years old, and I have $285,000 saved for retirement. That might sound like bragging. It's not. It's context for what I'm about to tell you. The median American reaching retirement age right now has $88,400 saved. Half of all people retiring today have less than that. Many have nothing at all. I'm not a genius. I didn't inherit money. I've never earned a six-figure salary. I just understood compound interest mathematics that most people learn too late or never learn at all. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how the average person ends up with $88,400 at retirement, why that number creates 20 to 30 years of financial anxiety, and the specific behavioral differences that separate people who retire comfortably from people who retire into precarity. Some of this will be uncomfortable, but understanding the real numbers is the only way to avoid becoming one of them. Let me start with what $88,400 in retirement savings actually means in practical terms. Using the standard 4% withdrawal rule, $88,400 generates approximately $3,536 annually from your portfolio. That's $295 per month. Add average Social Security of roughly $1,870 monthly, and total retirement income reaches about $2,165 per month. That's $25,980 annually to fund housing, food, healthcare, transportation, and everything else for potentially 30 years. The federal poverty line for a single person is approximately $15,060. So you're technically above poverty, but you're not far above it. You're one major medical expense away from crisis, one home repair away from depleting your cushion entirely. This isn't theoretical. This is the actual lived experience of half of American retirees right now. Here's what makes this even more disturbing. The current generation retiring with $88,400 had advantages that younger workers don't have anymore. Many current retirees had defined benefit pensions guaranteeing lifetime income. Many bought homes when housing was affordable relative to wages. Many had stable employment with single companies for decades. Many faced minimal student debt starting their careers. Every single one of those advantages is diminishing or gone for younger generations. Pensions have been replaced by 401k plans that shift all risk to employees. Housing costs have increased dramatically faster than income. Job stability has decreased. Healthcare costs have exploded. Student debt has become standard. The generation retiring with $88,400 had tailwinds. The generation behind them faces headwinds. Without major behavioral changes, the crisis gets worse, not better. Let me reverse engineer exactly how people end up at $88,400. Because understanding the path to failure reveals the path away from it. The trajectory to median retirement savings isn't created by one catastrophic decision. It's created by a series of small, rational-seeming choices that compound into disaster. Choice 1 happens in your 20s. You tell yourself retirement is too far away to prioritize. You have student loans to pay. You need to establish your lifestyle. You'll start investing seriously in a few years when you're more financially stable. This delay costs you exponentially because the earliest investment years produce the largest returns through compounding. Someone who invests $250 monthly from age 23 to age 33 and then stops completely will have more at 65 than someone who invests $250 monthly from age 40 to 65. 8 years of early investing beats 25 years of late investing. That seems impossible until you understand how compound growth rewards time more than money. Choice 2 happens in your 30s and 40s. You started contributing to retirement in your 20s, but now life gets expensive. Children arrive. Houses get purchased. Lifestyle expands to consume available income. You reduce or pause retirement contributions temporarily while expenses are high. The pause extends far longer than intended. A decade passes. The compound growth you sacrificed during those years can never be recovered. The math of catching up becomes daunting. Choice 3 happens during job transitions. You change employers and face a decision about your old 401k. Rolling it over to your new employer or an IRA is complicated and requires paperwork. Cashing it out is simple and provides immediate money. You cash out $18,000. After the 10% early withdrawal penalty and income taxes, you receive about $12,000. That $12,000 feels valuable today. What you don't see is that $18,000 growing for 30 years at 8% returns becomes approximately $181,000. You just traded $181,000 of future security for $12,000 of present cash. Studies show roughly 40% of workers cash out retirement accounts when changing jobs. This single behavior pattern destroys hundreds of billions in potential retirement wealth annually. These three choices, none dramatic individually, combine to create the $88,400 median. People don't choose to have insufficient retirement savings. They choose a series of behaviors that produce insufficient retirement savings without recognizing the connection. Now, let me show you what I did differently, because the contrast reveals the actual levers that matter. At 23, I opened a Roth IRA and committed to contributing $200 monthly, regardless of what else was happening financially. That $200 felt significant at the time. I earned $38,000 annually. It meant real trade-offs in my lifestyle, but I understood the math. 8 years of contributions from 23 to 31, totaling $19,200 in deposits, would become approximately $180,000 by age 65, even if I never added another dollar. I didn't stop at 31, but knowing that those early years were doing the heaviest lifting made it easier to prioritize when money was tightest. At 26, I changed jobs. My 401k had about $8,500 in it. I received multiple solicitations to cash out, with promises of how I could use that money. I rolled it over to an IRA instead. That decision alone will be worth approximately $95,000 by the time I retire. At 29, I got a raise from $52,000 to $61,000. Instead of lifestyle inflation consuming the increase, I directed the entire additional $9,000 annually into retirement savings. My lifestyle stayed at the $52,000 level. The difference compounded. At 32, right now, I have $285,000 saved. I'm not special. I'm not lucky. I just made different choices at the same decision points where most people choose differently. Let me give you a concrete example of what the median trajectory looks like in real life, because numbers become more real when attached to actual experience. Robert is 67 years old and retired last year with $91,000 in total savings. His Social Security benefit is $1,790 monthly. He withdraws approximately $305 from savings each month. His total monthly income is $2,095. His budget breaks down like this. Rent for a one-bedroom apartment is $950. Medicare premiums plus supplemental coverage cost $310. Groceries run $195. Utilities and phone total $225. His car payment is $180. Insurance and gas cost $110. Medications not fully covered by insurance run $215. Everything else gets the remaining $110. Robert has zero discretionary spending. Every dollar is allocated before it arrives. When his car needed $950 in repairs, he had to borrow from his daughter. When his water heater failed, he put it on a credit card he's still paying off. When his granddaughter got married, he couldn't afford to travel to the wedding. Robert worked for 43 years. He wasn't lazy, he wasn't irresponsible, he just never fully understood how daily financial decisions compound over decades. The cruel mathematics show that an additional $175 monthly in savings from age 28 to 65 would have given him $320,000 instead of $91,000. That extra $229,000 would have more than doubled his retirement income. But nobody explained the math to Robert in terms he could act on when he was 28. The future felt abstract. The present felt concrete. The savings never happened. The gap between median retirement and comfortable retirement isn't created by income level. It's created by specific behaviors maintained consistently over time. Consider two workers who both earn $58,000 annually throughout their careers. One saves 6% in their 401k with a 3% employer match. One saves 15% with the same match. After 35 years at 8% returns, the 6% saver accumulates approximately $520,000. The 15% saver accumulates approximately $1.1 million. Same income, same employer match, different behavior. The result is a $580,000 difference in retirement security. That additional 9% of income equals roughly $435 monthly, or about $14 per day. The difference between comfortable retirement and financial anxiety costs approximately the price of lunch out versus lunch packed. This daily framing reveals something critical. The gap isn't created by massive sacrifices or dramatic lifestyle changes. It's created by small, consistent choices compounded over decades. The person who brings coffee from home instead of buying it and invests the difference is making a retirement decision. They just don't recognize it as one in the moment. Let me give you specific action steps based on where you currently are, because general advice helps nobody. If you're in your 20s, you have the single most valuable asset available: time. Start contributing immediately, even if the amount feels small. Capture any employer match available. Increase your contribution by 1% annually until you reach 15% of gross income. Invest in low-cost index funds. Never cash out retirement accounts when changing jobs, regardless of how appealing immediate cash seems. If you're in your 30s with some savings but behind schedule, increase your savings rate aggressively right now. Cut discretionary expenses that provide minimal actual value. When you receive raises, direct the entire increase to retirement rather than inflating lifestyle. Max out catch-up contributions once you reach age 50. Consider working a few years longer than originally planned, because each additional year both adds savings and reduces the years those savings must fund. If you're in your 40s with minimal savings, hard choices become necessary immediately. You may need to save 20% to 25% of gross income. You'll likely need to work into your late 60s or early 70s. Downsizing housing deserves serious consideration. Delaying Social Security until age 70 increases your benefit by roughly 8% annually compared to taking it at full retirement age. If you're in your 50s with little saved, the mathematics become brutal, but not impossible. Saving 25% to 30% of income may be required. Working until 70 is likely necessary. Every spending decision must be evaluated against its impact on retirement security. Part-time work during retirement may be unavoidable. Regardless of your current position, one principle applies universally. Action today beats perfect action tomorrow. The median saver didn't reach $88,400 through terrible decisions. They reached it through delayed decisions. The perpetual, "I'll start next year," became, "I should have started years ago," before they understood what happened. Here's what separates my $285,000 at 32 from the median $88,400 at 65. It's not intelligence. It's not income. It's not luck. It's understanding that retirement savings is the result of daily choices repeated thousands of times over decades. Each individual choice seems insignificant. The cumulative result is everything. The coffee purchased instead of made. The car upgraded instead of maintained. The raise consumed instead of invested. The job change used as an excuse to cash out instead of roll over. The temporary pause in contributions that became permanent. These small decisions, repeated consistently, become the difference between $88,400 and $500,000. Between financial anxiety and financial security. Between retirement as a reward for decades of work and retirement as a continuation of financial stress. I'm 32 with $285,000 because I made different choices at the exact decision points where most people choose differently. Not heroic choices, Not dramatic sacrifices, just different, consistent choices about $12 per day. These small decisions, repeated consistently, become the difference between $88,400 and $500,000, between financial anxiety and financial security, between retirement as a reward for decades of work and retirement as a continuation of financial stress. Let me break down the exact psychology that keeps people on the path to $88,400, because understanding the mental traps is as important as understanding the math. The first psychological trap is temporal discounting. Your brain values $100 today far more than $500 in 30 years, even though the math clearly favors waiting. This isn't stupidity, it's evolutionary wiring that served our ancestors well, but sabotages modern financial decisions. When you're 28 and deciding whether to invest $300 monthly or use it for lifestyle improvements, your brain screams that the lifestyle improvement is more valuable. The retirement benefit feels abstract and distant. The new furniture or vacation or upgraded apartment feels concrete and immediate. Overcoming temporal discounting requires deliberately reframing the choice. You're not choosing between $300 today and money in 40 years. You're choosing between temporary lifestyle inflation now and permanent lifestyle security later. Between a slightly nicer apartment for a few years and the difference between comfortable retirement and financial anxiety for potentially 3 decades. The second psychological trap is the planning fallacy. People consistently underestimate how long tasks take and overestimate their future self-discipline. Your 30-year-old self genuinely believes your 40-year-old self will save aggressively when income is higher and expenses are lower. But your 40-year-old self faces higher expenses than anticipated, finds new reasons to delay, and assumes the 50-year-old version will handle it. This pattern repeats until you're 60 with minimal savings, wondering how it happened. Breaking this pattern requires assuming your future self will be exactly as undisciplined as your current self. Don't plan to save when things are easier. Save now, regardless of difficulty. The third psychological trap is social comparison. You compare your lifestyle to peers, not to your retirement needs. When friends buy bigger houses, newer cars, and take expensive vacations, the pressure to match them feels overwhelming. What you don't see is their retirement account balances. The couple with the beautiful house and luxury cars might have $40,000 saved at age 45. They're on track for the $88,400 median, but their visible lifestyle makes your more modest choices feel like failure. Escaping this trap requires comparing your financial trajectory to your own goals rather than other people's consumption patterns. Their spending tells you nothing about their financial security. Now, let me show you the exact numbers at different starting points because specific mathematics are more useful than general principles. If you're 25 years old with zero saved and you start investing $400 monthly at 8% average returns, you'll accumulate approximately $1.4 million by age 65. That's $400 monthly for 40 years, producing genuinely comfortable retirement. If you're 25 and can only manage $200 monthly, you'll accumulate approximately $700,000, still dramatically better than the $88,400 median. If you're 35 with $15,000 saved and you add $500 monthly for the next 30 years, you'll reach approximately $780,000. You've lost the most powerful compounding decade, but you can still build substantial security. If you're 45 with $40,000 saved and you invest $800 monthly for the next 20 years, you'll accumulate approximately $490,000. This requires significant sacrifice, but it's the difference between barely surviving retirement and living reasonably comfortably. If you're 55 with $60,000 saved and you invest $1,500 monthly for 10 years while delaying Social Security until 70, you can create a survivable retirement even from a late start. It requires dramatic spending cuts and extended working years, but it's mathematically possible. The pattern across all these scenarios is consistent. Earlier is exponentially better than later, but later is infinitely better than never. I'm 32 with $285,000 because I made different choices at the exact decision points where most people choose differently. Not heroic choices, not dramatic sacrifices, just different consistent choices about $12 per day. Let me break down exactly how I reached $285,000 by 32, because the path is replicable. From age 23 to 25, I contributed $200 monthly to a Roth IRA while earning $38,000 to $42,000 annually. Total contributions over those years were $4,800. Current value of those early contributions with growth is approximately $8,900. From age 25 to 27, I increased to $300 monthly as my income rose to $48,000. Total contributions were $7,200. Current value is approximately $11,400. From age 27 to 29, I contributed $450 monthly while earning $52,000. Total contributions were $10,800. Current value is approximately $14,100. From age 29 to 32, I increased to $750 monthly after a job change to $61,000 annually, plus I invested my entire raise. Total contributions over these years were $27,000. Current value is approximately $32,600. My total personal contributions from age 23 to 32 equal $49,800. Through compound growth, those contributions are now worth approximately $67,000 in my personal retirement accounts. Additionally, my employers contributed matches totaling approximately $31,000 over those 9 years. Those employer contributions with growth are now worth approximately $41,000. The remaining $177,000 comes from market growth on both my contributions and employer matches compounding over time. I didn't inherit this money. I didn't get lucky with individual stock picks. I invested in boring index funds and let time and compound interest do their work. The difference between my $285,000 and the median person my age having roughly $30,000 isn't income. My average salary over those 9 years was approximately $51,000. That's not a high income. The difference is that I prioritized differently and understood the mathematics of compounding early enough to benefit from it. That's the real cost of comfortable retirement versus median retirement. About $12 daily. The price of lunch out versus lunch brought from home. A subscription service versus investing that money. A slightly newer car versus maintaining the current one a few more years. Most people don't fail to save for retirement because they can't afford it. They fail because they don't connect daily spending decisions to retirement outcomes until it's too late to easily correct. The person watching this at 25 who adjusts behavior immediately could retire with 5 times the median savings. The person watching at 40 making changes could retire with double or triple. Even someone at 55 can meaningfully improve their trajectory with aggressive action. The person watching this at 25 who adjusts behavior immediately could retire with 5 times the median savings. The person watching at 40 making changes could retire with double or triple. Even someone at 55 can meaningfully improve their trajectory with aggressive action. Let me give you the specific tactical steps to start today, because knowing the problem without knowing the solution creates anxiety without action. Step 1. Open a retirement account this week if you don't have one. For most people, this means either contributing to an employer 401k if available, or opening a Roth IRA if your income qualifies. The Roth IRA income limit for 2024 is $161,000 for single filers. If you earn less than that, you can contribute up to $7,000 annually. If your employer offers a 401k with any match at all, contribute at least enough to capture the full match. This is the only guaranteed return in investing. If they match 50 cents per dollar up to 6% of your salary, contribute 6%. That match is literally free money that compounds for decades. Step 2. Automate the contribution immediately. Don't rely on monthly discipline to manually transfer money. Set up automatic transfers the day after your paycheck hits. You'll adjust to living on the remaining amount faster than you think. Start with whatever amount feels manageable. Even $100 monthly matters dramatically over decades. The goal is establishing the habit and the automatic system. You can increase the amount later. Step 3. Invest the contributions in a low-cost index fund. For most people, a target date fund matching your approximate retirement year works perfectly. These funds automatically adjust their allocation between stocks and bonds as you age. If you want slightly more control, a simple 3-fund portfolio works well. Total U.S. Stock Market Index, Total International Stock Market Index, and Total Bond Market Index. The exact allocation matters less than starting and maintaining consistency. Step 4. Increase your contribution by 1% of salary annually. If you're contributing 5% this year, increase to 6% next year. This gradual increase is barely noticeable in your monthly budget, but compounds dramatically over time. Keep increasing until you reach 15% of gross income. Step 5. Never cash out retirement accounts when changing jobs. Always roll over to your new employer's plan or to an IRA. The 10 minutes of paperwork this requires is worth tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Step 6. Ignore your account balance for years at a time. Check it annually to rebalance if needed, but don't check it monthly or let short-term market volatility change your behavior. The stock market will decline sometimes. That's normal and expected. Keep contributing through declines. That's when you're buying stocks on sale. These 6 steps are not complicated. They're not exciting. They don't require sophisticated financial knowledge. But executed consistently, they produce dramatically different outcomes than the median. The only actual failure is understanding these stakes and choosing not to act. $88,400 represents the cost of default behavior. It doesn't have to represent your future. Every day from today forward, you're making choices that determine which statistic you become. I'm not special for having $285,000 at 32. I just understood compound interest and made choices accordingly. That same understanding is now available to you. What you do with it determines everything.